In 1983, a bizarre book entitled Hitman, A Technical Manual for Independent Contractors, written by Rex Farrell, was published by Paladin Press. Purporting to be a guide for budding mechanics, the 130-page publication offered readers advice on how to plan, fulfill, and get away with contract hits. Mired in controversy and lawsuits, the book became infamous. The text was highly detailed and pulled no punches. Not only did it give advice on how to stalk, eliminate, and dispose of, quote, the mark, it also opined on the best weapons to use, and drifted off into more loosely related topics, such as the picking of locks, and the coercion of information from people. It appealed to Paladin Press's audience, who had enjoyed the publisher's catalogue of survivalist, military, and weapons publications, but also found readers who were simply fascinated by the subject matter. The trouble started for Paladin on the 3rd of March 1993. A man named James Perry had carried out a triple murder in Montgomery County, Maryland. His victims were Mildred Horn, her son Trevor, and Trevor's nurse, Janice Saunders. The contract had been put out by Lawrence Horn, a one-time Motown record producer, and the estranged husband of Mildred. The motive was an attempt by Lawrence to inherit a large trust fund that had been awarded to Trevor after he suffered injuries during a hospital stay. It was also believed that Lawrence owed a large amount of child support. During the trial, it emerged that Perry had used the book extensively in the planning and commission of the crimes. The families of the victims sued Paladin Press, claiming that they had, quote, aided and abetted the murder. The book was also mentioned in a similar crime committed by Robert Vaughan Jones in 1999. He had been hired for a hit by Robert Leslie Goggin, who wanted his ex-wife, Bobby Jo Wilson, out of the way. Another lawsuit was filed and settled out of court. Prior to this, the Horn lawsuit had ground on for several years, proceeding to trial after a ruling from a U.S. appeals court that it was not protected by free speech or free press constitutional rights. Then, in a 1997 60 Minutes interview, Paladin's publisher Peter Lund dropped a bombshell. He revealed that the original book had been written by a Florida housewife as a detailed crime novel, then molded by Paladin to fit in with their successful how-to line of publications. The information contained in it was either fabricated or gleaned from television and movies. This revelation may be seen as part of a defense for the upcoming lawsuit, but it would prove unsuccessful. In May 1999, Paladin's insurers decided to settle the Horn lawsuit over the heads of Paladin, who felt they had a solid case under the First Amendment protecting free speech. The settlement was said to be in the multi-millions of dollars. Legal scholars were less sanguine about Paladin's First Amendment argument. Additionally, the climate of the time was working against them. In the late 90s, there was still great concern about violent video games and rap lyrics. There had been a recent mass shooting in Littleton, Colorado, and around that time, a jury had awarded a $25 million judgment against the Jenny Jones Show to the family of a gay man who had been murdered by another guest. Howard L. Siegel, the attorney for the Horn relatives, said after the settlement, "We're not interested in censorship. We're interested in sending a message that the legal system is now ready to hold anyone responsible and accountable when they deliberately set out to assist criminals." Wendy S. Myers, president of the Society of Professional Journalists, said the outcome would, quote, have a long-term negative effect on the First Amendment, especially when it applies to books and websites. Paladin were supported by many media organizations in the case, in contrast to the mainstream media of 2024, who are, it seems, vehemently opposed to free speech in all its forms. Vivian Rice, a sister of Mildred Horn, said, "I believe in the First Amendment. I support it. I just believe that these manuals should not be there when they serve as recipes for people to do things that are not right." As part of the settlement, Paladin agreed to cease publication of the book, allowing remaining copies in circulation to sell out and destroying any that had not yet been circulated. It has been estimated that up to 20,000 copies are in existence. For anyone curious enough to read it, the text of the book can easily be found on the internet. Assuming, of course, that you're not planning to put any of its ideas into practice.